You've got 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. You have served thousands of people. How did you do it?
I was like the anti-influencer in the viral sense. When I had 1,000 followers, it was no different. I was making sales in the first month. You don't need to be viral. You want to beat a singular drum each day. Volume is there to offset a lack of competency. You don't have to grind volume. And I am anti-volume. You need them to stick around. Forget 100,000 followers. Think about the people who actually are fond of you and see you with a level of respect. I think the answer people need to really hear, probably know deep down, it's the stuff you do in the quiet when no one's watching. If you're no good, you just do lots. You can't look left or right for help. You just have to go through. I remember calling her and being like borderline in tears because I was like, I've got no money. Like, I need $1,000 this week. These bills need paying. Every time I show up, I get more of the wrong followers. And Microsoft reached out. They literally wrote, "We've been watching you."
Don't Work Harder is the show for entrepreneurs who are ready to catapult their business forward, because we believe it's not about working longer, harder, or smarter. It's about those braver moments. One bold move is worth 1,000 small steps. So rather than those small incremental movements that are moving you forward at a much slower pace, we're going to share with you the stories of successful entrepreneurs who've taken those big, bold steps to move them forward. This show is brought to you by Atomic, and I'm your host, Suman Randhawa, and I'm here not only to share with you the stories of entrepreneurs and the success that they've had, but you'll also walk away with the insights of what they did at that exact moment when they made that change that moved their business forward. Richard, good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait.
Yes, I think we need to start with a bang here, though.
Right.
Last time I looked at your LinkedIn, you had been traveling from LA. Today you're here with me in the studio and we're doing a great impression of being GMB presenters, you and I today. You've got 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. You have built a business that I know has meant you have served thousands of people one-to-one and passively. How did you do it?
I think the answer people need to really hear, probably know deep down, but don't really want to hear, is that it's just not all about going to LA. It's about...
Shane.
Yeah, it's about, and it's all the cliches, it's the stuff you do in the quiet when no one's watching. And actually, I remember years back, someone saying to me, imagine they're shooting the Hollywood film. And this is that montage sequence, you know, in like Pursuit of Happiness, where it's like in the grind montage, like that bit. Imagine they're in the room right now shooting. Like, is this what you'd be doing? Like, do the work. And I think like not needing to show off or flex that I'm working. I don't need to tell anyone. Just need to do it. And what gets you there is the work. And I'm, in hindsight, thrilled I went through all of the different stages I did. I'm thrilled I did a decade of corporate. It helped me so much. I'm thrilled I had the start to kind of entrepreneurship that I did. I'm thrilled I made the mistakes I did. And I'm thrilled mostly of the pain that I've gone through, like standing in fires when stuff is hard. And like, I remember early on, like, I remember once it was like, I think it's 2015, like, I need $1,000 this week. Like this week, my wife is looking after our baby. There's mortgage, there's a car, and it's like, these bills need paying. And there are no safety nets. You find it. And that kind of, those moments are not having fun in LA and shooting courses with LinkedIn. They are like, you can't look left or right for help. You just have to go through. And one of the things I speak about a lot with clients going through like their transitions, whatever they may be, is about holding their nerve. And there's someone I'm thinking about I worked with recently, and she said one of the things that stood out most for her is that she said, in my head all the time, I've got your voice going, don't drop the ball. And it doesn't mean you can't drop any ball, like, but you can drop some, but like the main ball, it's incredible focus and seriousness and treating it like it's one of your babies, this thing. And it's easy to have lots of fun and it's easy to be distracted, but it depends who you are. If I live with my parents in a basement, then I don't need to work so much, do I? But, you know, there's a lot that relies on me. And with a team, there are people on my team who are paying a mortgage because they're the breadwinner and they've got kids and things like that. And so it's about being deadly serious about the business having fun along the way, sure, but not trying to avoid the hard stuff and running at the hard stuff, actually, because otherwise the good bits are too few and far between. You know what I mean? So that kind of signifies the good stuff. It signifies you're doing some things right.
And when did you, so I mean, obviously we're about don't work harder, work braver. You're the perfect
Absolutely.
person to have here for that. And I can't wait to break down some of those big moments for you. So you've been in business for 11 years.
Yes.
I know that you do sales, but if you were to describe yourself and what you do,
Yes.
describe what you do, how would you explain it?
I think a really good way to explain what someone does, this is a good tip for anyone, is to not just say, here's my job,
Okay.
but explain it in a scenario so people really understand it. So for me, for instance, imagine you know your product and you have clarity on what you want to do and you have your buyers over there and you can even attract them, but you don't know what to say and you get it wrong and you're irritating and you do that spammy sales thing and you go a bit weird, and like that's the bit I help with. And of course, there's the whole ecosystem around it, from mindset to content and all that stuff. But we need to know that stuff, sure. But my specialist space is the fine detail around buyer psychology and the state that they're in when they receive you and the moves to make to take them to a place where they feel like they'd want to work with you. And it's nice because that's the kind of thing I can prove works, because there's millions of quid of sales across the people who've worked with me, but also there's the companies that seem to buy into what I'm doing, and they're not like, oh, we'll work with him because he's got all this viral posts or anything. They like that I focus on these little details. But what I think is really, really awesome, I really want to add this, is that what I'm teaching isn't just for the salespeople in the bottom line. This is about communication, and it's about being more persuasive when you need to. And it goes even deeper. It's about sometimes when you're not even speaking, it's about reading someone better. It's about creating better interactions. It's about giving someone a better feeling when you have an engagement with them, because you read cues and signs better. And I just love that stuff. And so, you know, I believe the best businesses are the ones where you kind of build a world around the thing you nerd out at, and like by design I'm talking about the thing I love doing, so it's fun.
Your face is light up when you're talking about it.
It's so nice being afforded the space to talk about my thing. But yeah, it's just helping people sell without being irritating. We all know what it feels like to be irritating, but what we don't know is, like, if you just did it this way or just did it that way, it can make a bit of a difference. And what I love about it as well, in because of the name of this podcast, is that if you get it right, you don't have to grind volume. And I am anti-volume.
Okay.
So just let's give some context. When I started work in 2003, I was selling advertising online, like internet marketing, cold calling on the phone. And I had to do 100 dials a day. So 500 dials a week was my target, to do 4 pitches a day to get 1 deal a week. That was the KPIs.
Okay.
My job was being on the phone. This is true, I was not allowed to sit down. There were no chairs. It was high tables. It was like, we were like battery hens.
Wow.
It was like, have you ever seen Boiler Room or Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
All the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It was genuinely like that. And it was like a buzz. It was amazing. The
So it
floor
was a buzz.
It was such a buzz.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm bringing this up is that volume is there to offset a lack of competency. If you're no good, you just do lots. And what happens is, if you get good, you don't need to do as many dials. So what I help people with as well is moving to this understanding of how to do selling so that they can be more competent, so they don't have to work so hard, because they're not grinding. And so if anyone you're going to hire suggests that volume is the key, you should be running a mile. Because unless it's a particular service you're after, especially if you're looking for high ticket, low volume sales, so I maybe need 4 sales this month of high ticket. If someone's going to be spamming all the time, hundreds of messages, that's a problem. That is not competency, that's volume. And so my thing is, if you know what you're doing, you don't need to be viral, you don't need loads of followers, you don't have to do 50 messages a day. You have like 5 good conversations, understanding the mechanism of how people interact, and that's where it gets much more fulfilling.
So you don't need to have lots of followers, says the guy with 104,000
Yes,
followers
I'm
at the
glad you
point.
brought that up.
So Richard,
I'm glad you
talk
brought that
me
up.
through how can we still build that business and not have 104,000 eyeballs plus everybody else's?
Absolutely thrilled you brought this up because everyone's like, says the guy with 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
When I had 1,000 followers, it was no different.
Okay.
It was no different. So in January 2018, when I started the whole LinkedIn content thing.
So that's when it was. So it's
Correct.
2018.
2018, so it's 7 years now.
Right,
doing
okay.
it. And I had no followers, basically. I was making sales in the first month because I was interacting with individuals in the DMs and then getting them on a call. And here's the crazy thing. If you are a mega influencer and you want to close a deal, you're still ultimately closing a deal with one person.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting into the interactions. It's been no different. It's just that I focus. It's just so important because if you remove vanity and insecurity, for many people, followers suddenly doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If you replace them with money, so cash coming in,
Yes.
suddenly they don't matter. But to grow a business,
Yeah.
you probably don't want to be doing one-on-one selling all the time forever. I don't. I want to move on. And so it's important to have some, put in some thought leadership and have a bit of a following. But it's so important you do it right. You could build a massive follower count rapidly. If you want to be an influencer and you're trading off your leverage of I have lots of followers, well then fine. But if you want to be selling the right people who are looking at you in the right way, you need them to stick around, not just technically follow you. Otherwise, we're just collecting numbers. And if it literally was as simple as having lots of followers, so go buy them. You can just pay and you'll get them overnight. But what we want to do is make sure we're building a business where it's like the message is pure and clear. And I always say we want to beat a singular drum each day. This is the thing I stand for. This is the thing I'm strident about. Here's what I believe in. Here's my philosophy. And suck up the fact that doing it right takes time. So launching a new product last year, I don't launch a new product all the time, every few years. But when I launched a new product last year.
It's a membership, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're running a sales membership.
Yeah, Art of Sell.
Yeah.
And it took straight away. Because people are like, oh, cool, I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in. And I'd earned that because I spent time nurturing.
I think that's key, isn't it? You were able to launch into a market where you were already trusted, although admittedly, you built your name as LinkedIn Richard. I don't know if you know that's what we called you, LinkedIn Richard. But obviously this membership that you launched last year was almost going back to the roots of like, now I'm going to go back to like pure, the finesse, as you say, around sales.
Well spotted, absolutely.
So Richard, how did you make the decision that what you were known for and what was doing really well for you, you were going to now move to be known for a much different proposition?
Yeah, well spotted. It's really important that this is a really important chapter for me because up until, by the end of 2018, I was already like, I remember I was on a panel in Geneva talking about LinkedIn, the LinkedIn thing.
Within a year?
Within a year. They were like, come out, talk about LinkedIn. And it was like, okay. And everyone obviously back then, everyone's like, really? LinkedIn? Are you sure? With the whole recruitment thing. And like, yeah, you can make money off it and like post content. No one had a clue. And even now it's kind of like that still. But what's interesting is that as I moved into 2020 and launched my LinkedIn Client Accelerator off the back of a wonderful 2019, because 2019 I want to make sure I give you all the bits. So basically, I set myself a goal in 2018, which was within 3 months, I want to launch a course. So I launched the basics of LinkedIn, which were the 3 C's. Everyone seems to have the 3 C's, content, community, and conversion.
Yeah.
I launched that in like March or April 2018.
So we're brand new to LinkedIn.
Brand new. And I'm like, it's just working. And I'm like,
and within a year, within 3 months, you felt, I've arrived on this platform. I'm now going to show other people how to master something I've been on for 3 months.
Here's why.
This is interesting.
Here was the angle.
Go on.
And this is why I loved it, is because I didn't have the follower count.
Okay.
That was the point.
Right.
So wherever you can find it, if you find the intro is like, the point is that I'm not established. because the narrative is you have to have a big following. Oh, well, I couldn't get that because I need to be huge. No, the point I was making was I've done this for 3 months and look what I'm getting. And by then I was like, I've got speaker things. I've got like paid consulting. I'm getting one-on-one clients. I'm getting like so many things out of this.
And how, Richard, how were you getting those then?
And so what I was teaching was it's about putting out a piece of content each day, saying something intelligent.
Yeah.
And then if someone dares blink in your direction, here is the process. And it was all very heavy on interaction in the DMs, nurture. That was all it was. So it was beautiful because it was like when you have a trickle of a few people looking at you and it's all a bit clunky, you can still convert. And the point I made in that, I remember in the intro, I was like, if in 3 months I've got here and look at it, and like I don't have a big following or anything, I'm sure you can do even better. The point was, I'm the amateur making it happen. So be anything better than me, but I'm not. I just didn't want it to be, look how polished I am.
Okay, that was almost the angle.
Precisely. I was like the anti-influencer, and I had no brand or logos and stuff. I wasn't even using Canva. So that was the start. And anyway, then 2019 was crazy because everyone was like, can you come and speak about LinkedIn? There's no one seemed.
So this is pre-pandemic.
Oh yeah, it was really going off. And then the pandemic made me incredibly relevant because I was doing a lot of training in the city.
Yeah.
People were like, can you come in and talk about selling? But also, can you come in and talk about LinkedIn? I was doing half of those, half and half basically. And it was just fun because it wasn't fun. Pandemic was a hot.
Yeah.
I spent
different angle in the pandemic.
I spent 2 hours every morning homeschooling my children.
But after that, there were fun elements.
But what was interesting is that a lot of companies, well, we can't get you in, but like I have all these people needing training. Can you? Suddenly the online thing was relevant, and it's just funny because all the lurkers came out of the weeds and said, the whole LinkedIn thing. I really need it now because I'm not allowed out of the house and I have to sell. And so all of these people needed help and just kind of the world came to me. I suddenly became very relevant. So that was 2020. And then in August 2020, I launched my accelerator. So I was very much the LinkedIn, not the LinkedIn guy, but I was very much LinkedIn.
Definitely one of them.
Oh, when I started in 2018, I swear there were like 50 people worldwide who did content. That was it. They'd only allowed video to be posted the year before. And I called it, so I was on Facebook before, and in the summer, I think it was in the summer of 2017, they allowed video, and I called it. At the end of 2017, I was like, something's going on over there. And I just started pivoting at the beginning of the new year, and then within months, I was like, bin Facebook. There's just no point. But so anyway, the point is that I've been focused on LinkedIn, but my concern was, and this was probably 18 months ago.
Yeah.
My concern was the saturation of LinkedIn trainers.
You were starting to see that, were you?
Yeah. Also, there's a number of strains of LinkedIn trainers. Some are ones who know how to use the platform. So I understand how to use Sales Navigator, or I understand how to optimize a profile. Then there's the growth hackers as well.
Yeah.
Neither of which I identified with. And my thing, because I did some consulting probably 2.5 years ago, I think it was, with LinkedIn. I helped their profile team. So the little features, like the links and things like that. They were like, your front line, you're trying to use it to sell.
Wow.
And that's what the point of LinkedIn is. It was really refreshing when they're like, we know the point of LinkedIn is conversion. Can you help? And I didn't make all the changes, but I gave them a lot of feedback. And it was really interesting because I was like, I'm being recognized as a guy that helps with conversion. And I just felt I don't want to be a LinkedIn guru. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it didn't feel right. I was like, I need to go bigger than this.
We're going to take a short pause to hear from one of our sponsors. Sponsors help us make the best show possible. Don't Work Harder is sponsored by Constant Contact, the digital marketing platform built with small business owners in mind. With Constant Contact, you can grow your contacts list, send out more emails, organize social media and events, and simply get more done with their advanced automation tools. It's everything you need to grow your business, advance your automation, and attract more of the right customers all in one place. Visit constantcontact.com to get started. So it was the aim was bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
Wow.
LinkedIn's one platform.
Yeah, of course.
Sales.
But you were mastering it. I mean, how many hundreds did you have on your LinkedIn accelerator at this point?
Gosh, I'd definitely gone well through 100.
Yeah. So the scale was
Oh,
there,
it was working really well.
but your ambition was, I want to go even
I
bigger.
just want more
Okay.
and bigger.
Right.
But in terms, not for greed, but because of impact, there's a difference.
Okay.
And legacy. And just all I had ringing my ears was look at Facebook, you know?
Yeah.
Look at Facebook now.
Yeah.
It's a joke. You wouldn't do it. And, you know, and so I'm not saying LinkedIn's going anywhere, but it just doesn't make sense that I would put all my eggs in LinkedIn
Okay.
for long term. And my background is selling, so it made sense. I was like, and I wanted to be more, that takes me more mainstream. It brings more interesting areas in. And ultimately, a lot of this is rooted in my love of learning more for myself.
Mm.
And, you know, I was like, I think I should step away a bit. And I think, it was about 18 months ago. I was like, I'm just going to start gently stepping away. And I remember,
was that almost the first intentional step then, is to start? So if you're thinking about like how you can start shifting the way you're going to be seen and your positioning, your very first intentional step was to start speaking about sales in a broader way?
the very first intentional step,
Yeah.
because you're right about how you're seen, was who I was being seen with.
Okay.
On LinkedIn.
This is a theme that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Love
so
that.
Who are you being seen with?
Okay.
Is a really important question to ask yourself. So really, a mutual friend of ours, I think Ash Rathel, who's in the Accelerator. So I think I coached him one-on-one, and he joined the Accelerator. It's like 4 years ago now. He's doing wonderfully well. It was really interesting that I remember he was like, he won this gig with a hotel. And I remember it was just great because it was like it helped elevate his brand because he was working with that hotel. And there's another Accelerator member, Marielle, who is like a really good pal. And she'd worked with like Yale. She'd lectured there. She worked with Diageo. And I'm like,
no, when you said Yale, I thought of the Lock.
no, yeah.
You mean
more
you mean Harvard and Yale? Yeah, I was going to get that image out of my head. Sorry, yes. So not Yale the Lock.
Yeah, Yale, the Ivy League school.
Yeah.
And so what's so interesting is if you think about who you're being seen with, I was like, I was getting pulled into this LinkedIn guru influencer space.
So more specialist.
Yeah, but it was also a vibe I didn't want to be around.
Interesting.
And it's difficult. So I have a lot of dear friends in there.
Yeah.
And I remember messaging them and saying, just so you know, I love you dearly.
Yeah.
I remember, I can see it now. One of them, I was like, I love you dearly, but I'm not going to interact in your posts anymore. And I was like, I'm becoming this kind of,
this is so interesting.
This guy that's being seen as alongside like the LinkedIn top people, and like, you know, it's all about, you all talk about virality and reach and growth hacking, and that, and like, it's cool and I love you and I respect you for it, but it's not my thing. And I need to step away because every time I show up, I get more of the wrong followers. I get the followers who are desperate for that, and it's not my demographic. And what was really coming into focus for me was the kind of demographic I target is actually very different. And, you know, that very broadly, that focus, that kind of set of people often attracts a younger audience who want to treat it like social media, and cool, like they are making it work in their way. But what's fulfilling for me is working with people like me. I'm in my mid-40s, and I liked working with did corporate 15 or 20 years. Now I'm 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
I'm good at a thing. I'm talented, and I love to learn, and I want to go deep, and I want to, you know, embrace like the kind of the detail, and I don't care. I get the moving fast and like growth hacking is all just hype, and I get it. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I want to do it properly. And the people at the kind I started is a bit toxic. Started calling them the grown-ups. I started working with the grown-ups, and so what I did was I stepped away from that lot, and I was like, I want to make sure I'm aligned with the right kind of companies. And you know, you get all the time, you get messages from a cute little app or a little SaaS company going, hey, can we do a sponsored post? And I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. And then last year it just really started clicking even more, and Microsoft reached out and they were like, they literally wrote, we've been watching you. And I was like, oh, that's a worry normally, but it's really nice. And they said, we've been watching you. We'd love you to help us with the new Surface Pro and Copilot, our AI thing. This is the top of last year.
Yeah.
And it's working. I'm being seen around the right people.
Right.
And so I was like, if you've got loads of followers or you've got loads of interactions and engagement, it doesn't mean I'm going to interact with you now. I'm going to interact intentionally even more now with people that represent my demographic, and it worked so well. And the people who buy my stuff now are so aligned. It's amazing. It just shows what happens when you're careful and intentional about positioning. I stopped interacting with this set over here. I start interacting with that set over there, and the message starts getting through. And Microsoft were like, "Will you help launch this thing?" And we did some work together, and I did some posts with them. And then I was last year going to like this AI event. It was kind of fun, but I was like, that's the kind of alignment I want.
And you realised you were making that shift.
Yeah, and I think LinkedIn noticed that too.
And so said, we'll take you to LA, be our friend.
Yeah, we did 5 courses together.
Okay.
This was our 6th, and it was really nice. So like words got around, they literally said like words got around internally. These courses are brilliant because they're so tuned into like communication and
how amazing.
And the first course, they said the use case is enterprise corporate. So it's not a solopreneur starting a little business. And I'm like, good. I want to go back that way. And I just had, I had 10 years of high corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Like I had clients like JP Morgan and BAE Systems and IBM. And then I went and loved the, not even startup world, the entrepreneurial, solopreneur world on my own for a decade. And now it's like this new chapter of building a team again. And like even Art of Sell we've started building a corporate track and we're going in that direction. I feel like that's the way the wind's blowing for me. But it also, my home is sales and that ecosystem. LinkedIn is one strand of it. So if I was in LinkedIn, I'd pigeonhole myself in a way that didn't feel aligned for me.
Okay.
That's why I stepped out.
Well, I love the breakdown there. I guess kind of as I sit here, I see someone who like feels really happy with where they're at, and you're starting to see the results of all of the hard work and the intentionality, the hard work and the intentionality. Have there been moments though when, excuse my language, but when the shit has hit the fan?
Yes.
Has there?
Through the whole thing they have.
Okay.
What bit do you want to focus on?
Tell me a few moments where things have not been plain sailing.
Let's look at even the Art of Sell that
Okay.
launched last year. The plan was to allow 25 people a month to come in.
Yeah.
We'll build a wait list. And I learned, I knew this already, but I had it confirmed to me that my personal sweet spot is high ticket, very low volume.
Right.
Like I've done multiple 6-figure deals, done many multiple 5-figure deals. I've done, and like the meaty, cheap, chunky ones. And like, I'm good at that. But this is a play that's $150 a month.
Okay.
And so it needs volume. And so I hired a guy who's epic, who helped with the wait list and that. But what I've learned is that, you've only got so much influence to get so many people joining after the month after month after month after month. That keeping up that cadence is really hard. And so it's like, I'll always be a sales director, even though I no longer am one. And, you look at the numbers and you're like, we need to recognize that I'm not an influencer in the viral sense. Just because I have 100,000 followers doesn't mean I have wild amounts of engagement on my post, because I never bothered.
You've not seen mine then, Richard.
Well,
it's pretty.
Yours are very good. It's very good. But the thing is, I just don't care that much.
Right. Okay. That's not what it's about.
I just don't care. And I know so many big influencers, if you class big as the amount of engagement they get. And I'm like, the stuff they do, I just don't want to do.
Right. To get to that level of engagement. Is that what we're saying?
It's literally hours every day of commenting.
Okay.
That's it. And I can't be bothered.
So you've got a lower ticket entry point now. So what you said you kind of indicated slightly that it was a different kind of challenge. So what did it rely on if it didn't rely on numbers? What did you have to overcome?
So what I needed to do was say to myself, firstly, let's make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
But compelling as well.
Okay.
One of the problems is...
So the offer.
Yeah, the offer, a lot of people need clarity for starters, and that is a big unlock. But that's not enough. It needs to be compelling. So my offer is not just the cute community where we learn sales and we talk and we have speakers. I mean, everyone wants to speak in the group all the time because they're all like, hey, I'm a speaker. But what we have is people who are like world-class, have the receipts, like really good. The guy this week is an executive director for Morgan Stanley. He used to be a COO at Goldman Sachs for 20 years across these two businesses. Last week's was a guy who was in the Royal Marines and was in Special Forces and talked about grit in selling, like epic people, and so many others I couldn't mention. And so that was now a compelling and clear offer.
Okay.
But it's still not enough, because there's only so much halo effect I can have over an audience. And I don't want a cute community with 50 people in it. I want to, my goal is 100,000 members. So to get that size, it's like, well, what do we do to fix this? A wait list based on my influence is playing small.
Okay.
So we stopped the wait list.
Right.
Instead, I hired a commercial guy who is now attacking universities. So he's working through all
This is incredible that you've just given me a figure of 100,000 is your target.
Yes.
Wow,
100,000
Richard.
members. I don't know how it will look. And it won't be 100,000 all on a Zoom call. Still break. But in some form.
It would break. Zoom would break.
And I love the fact I don't know how that will look. But to get there, what that will be is a number of different tiers.
Okay. Yeah.
It will be a team. And it will just be great because I'll be back where in the exhilarating stuff I did in the city, where it's like I was responsible for millions of quid every quarter. And you have different teams doing different things, and it's a whole ecosystem, and it's just fun. When it's your own thing, it's really good fun. But that's the aim goal.
So the steps, sorry, that was really interesting there. So you were like, you've realised now that so you've removed the wait list. So if somebody was to understand what it was, because that sounds like a learning rather than a sticky moment.
It was a helpful start,
okay,
actually, to let people in only bit by bit.
Yeah.
Because we had so much work to do to build the thing.
Okay.
And like, it feels like how can it be hard, Richard? It's just a community and calls. There's a lot of work. And so it made sense just to add a few people each month anyway. But yeah, now it's like, I want to go bigger. And so, my guys, I'm meeting him after this, he's like meeting universities and pitching them like 20 spaces. And I'm out. I did a pitch last week with a co-working space. We closed a deal where it's like all the businesses in the co-working space get access now and so on. So there's all this fun stuff we're building out. And that's where scale can come. Otherwise, it's the Richard Moore show all the time. And I know personal brand's important and we'll continue to work on that. But I'm not a big enough leverage point for me to get 100,000 members. So Art of Sell can be, and that's like that. That's why I'm trying to hire a marketing manager as well, and so on. It's just nonstop. But I love the fun of it. It's good. It's good fun.
And that must take a level of letting go to suddenly be employing people, growing your team. What do you need to be able to do in order to allow other people to now take charge of growing your business?
Yeah. I don't think I could have done it 20 years ago.
Okay.
Too much ego. In my opinion, the only way to do it is hiring A players. And I know you should just hire to get people kind of moving.
Hiring A players.
Yeah.
Okay,
Daniel
love
Priestley rightly is like, when you start to get anyone who is willing is what he says. And it's like, cool, but I've built companies before, and I've heard the horror stories, and like I could save some money, but like no, let's do it properly. And so getting people who are really equipped for their role,
Okay.
it matters. And within the first month, it was a 5-figure operating cost for the Art of Sell.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And it's not because I was inefficient. It was because I was being efficient by getting great people.
Right.
And what that allows you to do, what I was buying was my peace of mind.
Brilliant.
And I love this idea of fire and forget, which is you buy the talent. That means you don't need to hold their hand.
Okay.
And one of my first hires was a guy who worked with Gary Vaynerchuk on Team Gary V. He's done work with Ryan Serhant as well. And he's worked with Miley Cyrus, Jennifer Lopez, Dennis Rodman.
Richard Moore.
And now Richard Moore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think you're good enough.
I think you're going to be all right.
But think how disrespectful it would be if I was like, I think you should maybe change this or that. And so he does all my carousels and things.
Right.
Like,
right.
All my editing on my videos and things. And it's just like, I don't get a first draft.
Okay.
I don't have to approve it.
This is interesting.
Start.
So letting go and allowing other people to be the experts if you're going to hire the A team.
But if you can't,
this is brilliant.
If you struggle to let go,
yeah,
it's a really good flag. It's a red flag that probably you're not hiring someone good enough. It's an indicator because all these people I've hired, they reassure me. And don't get me wrong, I'm fully aware of all the work they're doing. I'm not like, oh, go work it out. We check in every week and that, and I'm like even before coming in here, I'm messaging, just checking what they're doing. But I don't need to scrutinize the work, nor have any nervousness about the quality of the output.
Yeah.
Basically, they are better at their bit than I would be.
Mm.
Not like that's before we even talk about the fact there'd be no time for me to do it anyway. So if you want a great proposition, you tend to need help. And every time I've seen people hiring cheap, they have now more headaches. And it's like, just put out. But the thing is, this approach requires deeper pockets, because I'd be willing to hold my breath and not make any money on it. But that way we build something robust, and it's building good foundations.
Absolutely superb advice there.
Thank you. I'm right, by the way.
And that is a line that I love about you. That is one of Richard's most well-known lines. I'm right. I love hearing it when you say that. Richard, what piece of advice shaped who you are in business? And I assume you're like this in life as well. What was the advice that you... What did you grow up with? A piece of advice that has like literally stuck with you until now?
Well, my mother was an absolute hero. So she, single mum, raised 3 kids on her own. Supply teacher, so didn't have a full-time job.
Okay.
Couldn't drive a car.
Wow.
And put us through university, like an absolute legend. And she put herself aside, never complained, just made it. So she was my hero. And one of her sayings, because parents are always like, you just try your best. But she always used to say, be the best.
She sounds Indian.
Yeah, I know things. She was very strict.
Okay.
And very,
she said,
like,
be the best.
Be the best, which is like, but that creates a hard position to be in, because if you aren't, then, it's like, well, it's binary. It's either be the best or you're failing.
Okay.
It was like, it's a high place to fall from. And so it sounds like glamorous or amazing, but the fact is that put pressure on us all.
Right.
So what's interesting is that my sisters and I are all the breadwinners in our households.
Interesting.
And we are all driven to a flaw at times, because we've always put work ahead of everything. And it took a lot of evolution for me to become a family man. But what's interesting is that be the best doesn't mean that you have ego. It means that you just try hard and do it properly.
I love that.
And that first job I had, I remember calling her and being like borderline in tears, because I was like, I've got no money. Because by the way, I was earning £1,000 net per month. That was my basic. And my rent was 800 quid a month.
God.
And so I had to make sales. And I was like, I have got no money. And she was like, work it out. You got the job, go get it. And she also said, just so you know, you're not coming home. She added, like, obviously, if you were on the streets otherwise, you would. She loved us dearly.
Yeah.
But she was like, it was because we had a very rough upbringing. And so she built this defense of show them all by being strong and making it happen, because it proves that you don't need anyone. And that there's a lot of therapy behind me coming to the point where I can share that. But what's interesting is that it kind of leaked through to our ethos and our values and things like that. So that's all well and good for business. But, it's important to make sure that there's some soul and some emotion and some thought of others and awareness that not everyone is built that way.
Yeah.
So I've kind of come to be a bit more of a grown up about that side of my emotional palette over the years. But that was huge for me, because it was the reason behind me going, getting another degree, because I was like, I don't think this one looks good enough. I'm going to go and get another one. And my older sister went to Oxford, and so that was hard for me, because I was like, right, the pioneer who got straight A's went to Oxford. I have to. It was like not outperform her, but there was this kind of push. And my younger sister, poor thing, was like, right, I've got to, fill in, these big shoes too. So there was always this, there was never I'm better than you, but it was always we make success our priority in whatever form it is. And I'm so proud of my sisters, who have both done outrageously well. But I just think that kind of set, hopefully you gave a sense of the tone of what it was like.
Yeah, and also the place it came from. And I think the context there was like really touching, because it came from a place of just wanting the best.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've shared the journey you've been on. So when you think about something that's, you said you've like built soul now into your business. There's the soul, there's the empathy.
Yeah.
I definitely see it. What's something that is non-negotiable for you now then in the way that you are living your life and running your business?
It's integrity.
Okay, love that.
100%. So the two big values.
I thought you were going to say running, because I know you like your running.
And coffee as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even need to say that, obviously.
Yeah, coffee.
But the two values, especially with Art of Sell, I've kind of put this into the team. So I had it for myself when I worked with myself only, but it's like integrity and excellence. And that's what's crucial. And it is stunning how easily you can have some complacency with those things, especially with excellence. It's like, oh, just go through the motions just today. It's like, no, excellence always, and kind of maintain that high level. And I remember when I started Art of Sell, I was like, every Thursday, I'm going to have a world-class speaker every single week. And someone said to me, don't you think you're biting off a bit more than you can chew? Why don't you do like one a month or possibly two? And I'm like, that's not the way I want to do it. And I want it, if it's hard, fine. But and it's really hard getting these, like some people have had to pay a lot of money.
I was going to ask how.
Oh my God. But a lot of them, it's charisma and charm. And like, hopefully I can, but also it's calling in favors. Some people, it's like, some of them have been straightforward. My friend Chris Doe, I literally messaged him with, hi, Chris, you know how you interviewed me loads for the future over the years? Would you mind returning the favor? And he was like, well, I kind of have to, don't I?
Yeah.
So like, that's fine. But a lot of it is, cashing in like good favor. What I love about it is that I can call on these people because I've done the networking properly over the years. Forget 100,000 followers. Think about the people who actually are fond of you and see you with a level of respect. I'd like to think there's a measure of success and respect from them to me. And they're like, of course, I'd happily help you. And that's, you get people wanting to give you something if you've been good for them in the past. And yeah, I think, it's been a ride, but those two matter. Integrity is huge. And coming from selling, if you then add cold calling, if you add early 2000s with managers who were raised in the 90s, you can imagine. The first company I worked at, which no longer exists, it was bought and reformed a lot. Originally, like, there was no HR, there was no compliance, there was nothing. It was close the sale. That was it. It was like a warehouse full of 23-year-olds smashing the phone. That's what we were, and unbelievable experience. But I got to see who had integrity and who was full of shit. And some people would say one thing on the phone and then be another thing off the phone. And I just don't think that's cool. And I don't think you have to be a dick to get ahead. You know what I mean? So I think so it's absolutely those two things. A lot of other things matter, but integrity, because deep down you couldn't live with yourself if you knew. It's a really good example I gave a while back was, if you're wearing a fake Rolex, everyone knows it's a real Rolex.
Mine is real. I just right there.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
But like everyone thinks.
That's so interesting. If
you know, it's not real.
So if you're wearing a fake Rolex, So are you saying it's like the energy you almost give off?
Yeah, and it's like, do you want to have to live with being that person or not? And so, and again, it comes from my mother actually, and she was very anti-credit cards and anti-leverage debt or whatever. But she was very much like, if you don't have it, you don't get it. Go and earn it, go and make it, or you don't have it. And so, and like my parents are very working class, and they were like, my dad especially was very much like, because I reconnected with him in recent years, so I hadn't seen him for 25 years. And what's interesting about him is he's like, just don't be fancy. Stop showing, like, not to me, but it's like he just can't stand people who show off and pretend when they're not all that. And I love that, because I'm like, it doesn't have any effect on me if someone's showing off and pretending, but surely on them deep down they're feeling like, but this is hollow. I think I love that I sleep well at night. And I think ultimately it's like just nice to not feel insecure, And so
integrity is what you lead with.
Yeah, and it takes time and it's the long route, but the fact is that it's actually the shorter route. because otherwise you're mucking around trying to tend to this facade and you're not getting anywhere. So if you just do it properly to begin with, it takes longer. No one wants to hear that advice, but it's right. And then you get, just feel good about what you're doing. And I just feel like I'm not doing anything that's even grey hat. I'm just trying to do it properly. And I don't have to lie my way to a result. But I can say that if I've done something for 20 years.
Sure.
It's just hard when you're 21 and you're trying to compete with that, I suppose. But again, so embrace sucking for years. It's a thing.
So you don't have to be brilliant from the beginning.
Everyone wants to be, it's funny because I'm so romantic about my time in corporate and all those sales years. It was horrible. It was abusive at times. It was really horrible at times. But in hindsight, I'm so glad I did it because I remember when I first got back to six figures when I was running my own company, and I was like, oh man, I should have left earlier. But now I'm like, no, all the stuff I went through, all the different experiences, managing different levels and being with managers who are toxic or good, that's experience you can't replace. It's really, really valuable. So I'm the poster boy for taking the long route, as long as it's not the inefficient one.
Well, Richard, you have been so very generous with how much you've shared. And actually, I think what's a real joy for me is the more people I speak to, the more themes we as an audience and me as a host, we get to hear what the magic is and the hard graft that goes in that allows you to get to those points. So thank you for being so open and generous. I've got a few questions that I just want to wrap up with, just to
rapid fire.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I'm glad that you've guessed. So, I actually have the words written, rapid fire. So that was a very good guess
for me to be quick. Okay, got it.
No, which is just a way of us just getting a couple of quick bits from you. So, Richard, what's your guilty pleasure?
Coffee. Definitely.
Yeah.
Pretentious coffee.
Pretentious coffee. Even though we're not fancy.
Lovely coffee. Thank you for making it.
Yeah. Pretentious coffee. Okay. What are you currently reading, watching, or listening to? Now, I know you don't like to watch TV, do you?
I don't really watch TV. I actually I have in my bag a book you may know quite well, which is green on the cover.
Oh, Richard, you are
Can you guess the name?
I think I can, yeah.
So I've been glancing at that.
That's very kind.
So
That's my book for anyone who's wondering. Yeah.
I have been reading actually fiction recently. A book called the what's it called? The Honesty Box.
Lovely.
Which is about a married couple and the husband has ADHD. And I'm going for a diagnosis on that, and it's an interesting kind of, parallel. So it's fascinating to read, and so I've been into that, and I've not got a business book on the go at the moment. I like to dip in and out of things. I've been on a podcast thing recently, as in watching a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I've been watching I mentioned Daniel Priestley earlier. I watched him in one a bit earlier today, and it was kind of interesting what he was talking about the state of the economy here. So it's fascinating.
Yes.
That's what I'm reading. What I'm watching, just don't watch telly. So it's kind of useless.
Okay.
But, miraculous with the girls.
Is that a kids program?
Kids
program,
yeah. Right. So I tend to watch whatever they're watching because I like hanging out with them. But otherwise, yeah.
That sounds like a dad life.
Yeah, I'm a big girl dad, big time.
Oh. And if there was one word to sum up this next chapter that you step into, what would we say?
Oh, challenging.
Okay.
Not in a bad way.
Okay.
I really love it. I really love the hard bits and this bit's on fire. Cool. We signed up for this. So a positive challenge.
You're here for the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Richard, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What
Thank you.
a pleasure to get to speak to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to Don't Work Harder. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share. This show has been brought to you by Atomic, the home of epic business growth. Head to our website at atomic.site to hear more about our business programs and epic events.